to meet Sarah Schoonmaker, who's the newest sort of generation of the Roosevelt family. So it's great to really re-establish connections with them. So if you don't know too much about FDR, I thought I'd just slot in a few of his quotes just to give you a bit more of an idea about him and his beliefs. So he said, happiness lies in the joy of achievement and the thrill of creative effort. So that really just shows you that he's so passionate about people trying new things, being creative, and being happy in that activity. I'll pass it to Sheridan for a bit.
So since its inception in the 1940s, over 150 people from all walks of life across Nottinghamshire have had the opportunity to go to America. I think in the early days, scholars could go up to 6 months, and I believe they sailed across the Atlantic, right, which took us several days, but it must have been amazing seeing the New York skyline appear on the horizon as the ship arrived. It's very much a personal development scholarship, so the idea is that the individuals go to research a topic linked to their profession, so that it not only benefits them as an individual and their career, it also benefits the employer, so they bring fresh new ideas when they come back to Nottingham. We've had lots of different organisations funding it over the years. Many of the original ones have changed quite dramatically, so Players Rally no longer exist in their current form, but we diversified and tried to encourage more private sector, public sector organisations to get involved. At the moment, we have funded up to 12 weeks, although more recently it's been around 6 weeks of funded scholarship, and that's basically to encourage more businesses to get involved. As you can imagine, allowing member of staff to go away for 3 months can be quite an impact on the business. So we're developing our scholarship constantly to meet the needs of businesses and the next generation of business leaders. We changed the age range recently from 21 to 30 to 35, with the hope that it would encourage more middle managers to come on the scholarship. So individuals who have gained a number of years experience in that industry, so that they can use the scholarship the best of their ability when they go out. And we've spent a number of years now developing the support package. So every new scholar gets a mentor, a previous scholar, and they work with the new scholar to plan their routes and share advice and guidance on how to manage being alone in America for up to 3 months. When they get back, they also receive mentorship support. I remember coming back from my scholarship with so many ideas and not knowing where or how to implement them. So that after scholarship support is really important. We now have a management team as well, where all the returning scholars help to progress the scholarship onto the next stage of its development. And in 2016, I became a trustee of the scholarship. So there's the learning doesn't stop when you get back. And while people are over there, we very much encourage them to actually stay with American families. So we expect scholars to spend about 50% of their time living with Americans, sharing culture, ideas, knowledge. So we want to make sure it's all about embedding that relationship. We also, even though there's a serious element to this, you are an ambassador of Nottingham and the city, and the county in fact. We just still expect scholars to enjoy themselves and visit those historical monuments around America so that they can bring ideas back. I think everybody's heard of Robin Hood and Brian Clough out in America, even though people got confused with Notting Hill. Several times I've changed my introduction to the city of Nottingham so that they know exactly where we came from.
Okay, great. So, why do we do this? Sheridan's given you a good example, and some people, I know there might be some cynical people in the room who think, oh, but why do you need to do that? Why do you need to send someone to experience this? Why do you send them on this big trip? Well, hopefully we'll explain a little bit more about that. And I'm going to give you another fabulous quote from FDR. So he believed that the more that you circulate on your own travels, the better citizen you will become, not only of your own country, but the world as a whole. So this is something that really is the foundation of the scholarship, and that idea to travel, meet other people, and share ideas with them. So I'll tell you a little bit about my trip. As Len kind of mentioned before, I work for Framework, the homelessness charity, and seeing as I'm talking to an audience, I would say if anyone in the room has ever supported Framework, Thank you very much. It's hugely appreciated to help local homeless and vulnerable people. So I work as an individual giving manager there, do a lot of fundraising, but every year as things are cut, it's more and more difficult to raise the funds and keep our services going. I've been at Framework for about 5 years now, so I was reaching a stage in my life where I wanted to learn a bit more and have another experience, but I was hitting a ceiling within the organisation because I was quite high up within the fundraising team. So this was great. So I put my proposal together for the scholarship, which was doing good in a modern world. So it was questioning how organisations in America fundraise with individuals by using new techniques, especially online. So I met a lot of charities, medium to large scale, often with a homelessness focus, so it was relevant. And I understood how they fundraised and attended conferences, universities, and met a lot of philanthropists, which was great. So what does that look like sort of on the ground? It looks like this. So this is 3 months. So it was a bit hectic. I flew into New York on the 1st of February, and I took 2 flights, but mainly it was buses and trains, and 1 lift of a very, very kind person. So I did 11 states. I worked in a kind of a clockwise direction. And the longer trips included 4 flights, 7 buses, 8 trains, 2 car rides, and I was lent 3 bicycles to help me get around. Which was great because I love cycling. Especially when I was staying in one place in Connecticut and the nearest sort of shop was 8 miles away, so that was a bit of a trek to go to my appointments. So the sleeping involved is an adventure, and we do this on a stringent budget. So I slept in 4 hostels. I stayed with 18 families in America, which really was totally enlightening to see the variety of different people and the way that people really welcomed me in. I don't know how, can I have a show of hands who's been to America before? You have? So that's quite a lot of you, so I imagine quite a lot of you have experienced the warmth of the American people. I hope you have anyway. And that really made me feel at home when I was really quite far away from my family and friends and what I know. Especially when I was on a train in between Portland and Nebraska for 65 hours straight. I would not recommend that to anybody. So yeah, there was a bit of sleeping on buses, 1 bus station when things went a little bit wrong, and I was lucky enough, from the kindness of one of the people I was staying with, to be taken to Yosemite National Park, and I got to stay, it was beautiful, I got to stay in the National Park Lodge there, and that really was something I'll never forget. So what happened? Yeah, I visited 50 different organisations in those 12 weeks, from the smaller shelters to giant charities where they've got about 30 people that do my job. Wealth foundations, leading universities including Harvard, some really smart people there, so it's great to see how they do a bit of fundraising. I was the only international attendee at Cause Camp, which is one of the leading fundraising conferences in the US, which is really brilliant to be there. And so what does this all really mean for me? Well, I've really picked up sort of I'm quite an energetic person anyway, you might have realised that. But I really saw an incredible determination and energy in the American people who make things happen. I picked that up and I brought that back. So I feel now supercharged to be able to make things happen in the fundraising world. And even though I saw some amazing things, like in America they have incredibly donor-centric fundraising, so they lead from the donors' wishes. And they lead a lot by volunteering as well, which is something that we don't do as much of Framework, and I want to bring in. There wasn't as much on the digital scene as I expected. However, now I feel like I've got the confidence to be the first to do that. So watch this space. So the business networks, well, for my business and for Framework, I've got a network of those 50 organisations and all the fundraisers and philanthropists that I met, which means that if I've got an idea, I can sort of say, what do you think, guys? And we're all constantly talking, so that's going to be something that really helps me develop and grow, and hopefully them as well with the experience that I have. I have new approaches to fundraising to implement, as I mentioned before, and I'm an energised employee, which is definitely going to help Framework and my colleagues around me. In Nottingham, what's in new for Nottingham? Well, as I said, watch this space for new fundraising ideas. And I returned on the 1st of May. But since then, I was one of the lead speakers at Nottingham's Digital Summit, which is a real honour to be invited to do that. And talking about my new fundraising approaches and what I hope to do in the digital world. So I did some really good networking there, and I've made some contacts that I think can really help turn sort of that digital world around. So that's me. And I just want to mention one more fabulous quote. If civilization is to survive, we must cultivate the sense of human relationships, the ability of all peoples of all kinds to live together in the same world of peace. And that shows you that unified view that Roosevelt really truly believed in, and the friendships that we build on the scholarships are really long lasting, and so that's what we hope is part of the scholarship as well. Now Sheridan's going to talk about his experiences.
Okay, so as I was mentioned at the start, I was a 2011 scholar, but I actually went in January, February, March 2012. And at this point in time in my life, I was really interested in social entrepreneurship. So this is basically, these are businesses that are driven by a social environmental purpose. So it's all about doing good. I just completed my master's degree at the University of Nottingham, where I did a module on social entrepreneurship, and I realised at the time that was what I wanted to go out to America to research. And I ended up looking at 4 different things. I was very keen not to look at the legal structures, because they're very different in the USA to the UK. But I looked at support organisations and how do they nurture social entrepreneurs. I looked at educational institutions, so I went to Harvard and Portland University to look at how do they identify up-and-coming entrepreneurs. I looked at co-working spaces, so these are basically office spaces where they have lots of different businesses in there. And I looked at networking groups, a bit like this, and how you bring a diverse group of people together. So social entrepreneurs are individuals with innovative solutions to society's most pressing social problems. They are ambitious and persistent in tackling major social issues and offering new ideas for wide-scale change. So I spent 3 months going around the USA. So I started in the East Coast, walking down across to Boulder, Colorado, then to LA, up to Seattle, and then across. Similar to Tori, I did a train journey from Seattle to Chicago, and that took 2.5 days. I've never been so bored of seeing corn outside a train. Montana, it took a day just to go through Montana. But it was a great experience. Actually, when I did the train from San Francisco to Portland, they had these open window carriages, and there was a local history tour going on at the same time. So we got to hear all about how the West Coast was discovered and how it was settled. So it can have its benefits. So I looked at different organisations, as I mentioned, and I was just blown away by the American enthusiasm. Probably the most ambitious organisation I met was the Unreasonable Institute in Boulder, Colorado. So this is based on a quote by George Bernard Shaw that goes, "The reasonable man adapts himself to the world, the unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man." So they created the Unreasonable Institute. They gathered the most ambitious entrepreneurs from around the world for a 6-week business development program. They all lived in the Unreasonable Mansion, and at the end of that 6 weeks, they went to San Francisco where they pitched their idea at the Unreasonable Climax. And these organisations have received millions of pounds to tackle some of the world's biggest problems. So absolutely incredible. I took part in Santa Monica in a week-long program called by Starting Block, and I love their mantra of "we incubate people, not businesses." But one of the most amazing opportunities was actually to spend 3 days living with Haven Roosevelt and his wife Bunny up in Connecticut, Dartmouth. And so this is their winter house as well. They had a huge summer house as well. But it was just so surreal being shown to my bedroom where I passed portraits of Eleanor and Franklin Roosevelt on the walls. And after I'd settled in, they invited me up to his den to watch American football in his lazy boy. So I was just there with the looking around, absolutely phenomenal. And where he lived was where some of the first settlers lived. So you can see some of the old land boundaries that were made out of bricks and stones, which are no longer in use. But it was just an incredible experience to stay with the Roosevelts. So the impact was, so I came back all excited, loads of ideas, didn't know where I wanted to go there, although I was looking at setting up a recruitment business. And then some people in my business community network suggested I get in touch with the new principal at New College Nottingham, a guy called Amajit Bassi. So I googled what he looked like, and it turned out that there was an AGM taking place a few weeks later. So I went to that, sat behind him, and then at the end of the day, at the meeting, I basically cornered him and said, I really believe in your vision. how can I be involved? Just come from America. And he was like, this is great, come and meet me. So I had 3 meetings with him. On the 3rd meeting, he invited me into his office and he was sharing his his vision, and I was thinking, where's this going? And he goes, I'm creating this new role, entrepreneur in residence, would you be interested? I was like, absolutely, what does one of those do? And he was like, I don't know, that's what you've got to find out. So I basically designed my own job based on other job descriptions I could find on the internet, merged it all together to create what an entrepreneur should do, entrepreneur resident should do. And that included things such as creating a startup program, so with some council funding, in partnership with Nottingham University and Central College at the time. We created this startup program. I looked after cross-college competitions. What I noticed is there's a lot of young people who did want to start their own business, particularly in catering or construction or plumbing. But NCN had 25,000 students across its 5 campuses. And a lot of those lacked the basic confidence. So a lot of what I did was to bring businesses into the school, into the college, to expose them to businesses and the world of work. Some of my students took part in a business startup competition and they won. And I'd arranged for Doug Richards from Dragon's Den to come to an event anyway. So the winners of the startup competition actually got to spend lunch with Doug Richards, which was a great honour to host him. And on another competition, another group of students won a first prize trip, which took me to New York. And that's there where I came across 3D printing. Walked into this shop where there was 3D printers on the wall. I was thinking, why is Nottingham doing this? At the time, I think 5 of our secondary schools required improvement. So I was like, something needs to happen here. So when I came back, after a few years at the college, I set up my own business, Creative Dimensions. And this was aimed at going into schools to teach CAD design and 3D printing. It turned out to be quite hard because a lot of the schools didn't know what 3D printing was, they didn't know how it worked or how it related to the curriculum. So I moved my business to look at children's birthday parties. So I do maker parties where I get the young kids to design stuff, make stuff, and I subtly introduce digital technology. So for young kids, I'll get them to make a Play-Doh character, and then we can use stop motion cameras to make a little movie, a bit like What's and Go from it. I'm now moving into 3D training. So that one thing I've learned from having a 3D printer in business is that the 3D printers are cool to look at. I've had kids spend 30 minutes just watching every layer print. But once you learn CAD, computer-aided design, you can go into architecture, engineering, gaming, product design, you name it. So a lot of what I'm focusing now on is supporting young people to find out what they're interested in and then directing them to the relevant careers as and when. This is actually, I've got a 3D scanner as well, so I can scan the birthday boy or girl and 3D print a little miniature of them. So it's not a great image, but that's me. Mini me. So I still do this on the side, but in November 17, I got a job at Futures. In fact, Futures previously had commissioned me to do some work in school. So I find it really incredible how seeds you sow early on can lead to other opportunities later. So I started at Futures, and in this role as project manager, I can now really have a big impact in Nottingham and the wider county. So working with the University of Nottingham, I've just launched the pilot of Young Innovators, and we work with Nottingham Academy and Bluecoat Beechdale to encourage young people, or equip young people with entrepreneurial skills so that they can solve problems, challenges that they face, either personally, professionally, or in their community. So this year's theme was around SAD, stress, anxiety, depression. So these young people created projects and solutions to address those issues. And now with working with the University of Nottingham, we're going to fund the winning teams from each school to develop their idea into a citywide campaign. So it's all about young people coming up with the solutions. At Futures, I also manage all the work experience, mock interview days, enterprise days, and I've just recruited 2 people into my team. One looking at working with young people in alternative provision. So these are young people who are being kicked out of mainstream school. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a wild west in that sector, but the work we're doing is laying a really innovative approach to giving these young people careers advice and then get them back into employment. And we're working with a young person, working with young people with SEND, so disability, and helping them get onto the job market. So really exciting. I'm loving being able to use that knowledge and insight I gained in America and applying it to my day job. So, what are the benefits to employers? So, One of the things we're having to change is our engagement with employers. Traditionally, we've been funded by the City and County Council, and that funding is all gone now, so we're looking at how can we be relevant to the businesses of today. So one of the key elements is that this project not only allows employees of the business to develop themselves and develop those core skills, it's all about bringing fresh ideas, new insight back to that employer. So if any employers are trying to grow into America or have links to America or want to look at new ideas, this is an amazing opportunity for them to bring those ideas back to the organisation. Many of the scholars go out and look at social issues, which is really important. So when we look at applications, it's very much about needs. So we ask the applicants to identify why is there a need to research this particular project in America, so that that impact can be as big as it possibly can when they get back. Returning scholars now are encouraged to go to as many networking events as well, so this is great exposure for employers and the employees themselves, and helps raise their profile in many different organisations. And we're looking at working with businesses to integrate scholarship into their professional development program. So a lot of businesses, particularly the large ones, have their CPD training programs. So to encourage new talent to come into that organisation, the scholarship could be part of that package, so that we attract new talent into Nottingham, and if they join an employer that's linked to the Roosevelt Scholarship, they have an opportunity to go to America at some point in their development. One of the key things that we're developing this next year is linked with America. Some of you may know that the Pilgrim Fathers came from North Nottinghamshire. So next year, 2020, marks the 400th anniversary of the Mayflower, and there's a huge campaign around it. So we're trying to establish stronger links with American businesses, and we're looking at creating an affiliate network. As you can imagine, we meet dozens of businesses out there, and we're now wanting to keep that relationship going by looking at transatlantic partnerships where we work together across the UK and the US. So lots of amazing opportunities for employers, and we can't wait to see how the scholarship evolves over the next 70 odd years. Okay. So this year we've got 3 amazing scholars. Got one right here, Sam. So Sam's going to look at renewable energy and smart cities across America. Sam works for Nottingham City Councils in their energy team. So that again will have a direct impact on the residents of Nottingham. We've got Henry Franklin. So that's Henry Franklin. Henry works for a manufacturing research centre based in Coventry, but he's from Nottingham. And his research there is to look at prefab construction of houses. So he's going to America to look at how innovative American firms are building new homes of the future, to bring that knowledge and that idea back to his employer and to the wider construction industry. So we're really excited to see where his impact can take him, particularly Nottingham, with the need for more homes across the UK. And Joe, top corner there, Joe is a musician, and he's the Mayflower Scholar. So he's been funded by the County Council to go to America to meet the descendants of the Mayflower Pilgrims. He's a singer, he's a Morris dancer, he's everything. So he's going to either sing traditional 17th, 18th century songs and come up with his own songs. So keep an eye out for a CD coming out in Nottingham this year. But he's spending most of his time around New England, so meeting the descendants, and then when he gets back next year, he's going to do a series of events across northern Nottinghamshire all the way into Lincolnshire to talk about his scholarship and singing those local dances, songs. So it should be a really exciting experience for him when he gets back.
Thank you. So, as Sheridan did mention, the statue money did run out eventually, and the funding from the Nottingham County Council and City is changeable and isn't what it was. Although they are, Nottingham County Council are supporting the Mayflower Scholarship this year, which is excellent. So it was initially by the leading businesses. Now the majority is funded from private individuals and ex-alumni. And I was so excited about the experience that I had when I got back, as I signed up and I started giving a regular gift straight away. Being in fundraising, it's quite natural for me. And I always think that you can never really ask for other people to support your cause unless you truly do yourself. So I do. And that's mentioning, and the businesses do design business bespoke scholarships as well. And that's enough that we're looking into. So, and as you might notice, Sheridan does an awful lot. Sam works at the City Council, I work at Framework. We all have full-time jobs, and the scholarship is run by really hard-working volunteers. It does take quite a lot to make sure that people are going out to America and they're safe and they feel supported, and to keep the funding going is a real challenge. Just to give you a bit of an idea about how much things cost. It's about £2,000 to pay for a full scholarship. That also helps with mentoring, the funding that they have to pay to spend when they're out there, flights and insurance. It is £1,500 that pays for an entire scholarship allowance when people are in America, and about £30 supports a scholar to study, for a day whilst in the States, and £10 a month, not very much, just £120 a year, is a type of payment that really helps us to maintain the scholarship and just keep moving forward with it. It's something that really does enrich Nottinghamshire, and we want to keep it going. So how can you get involved? Well, you can tell people about it. That is definitely one of our biggest challenges. I don't know how many people have heard about it before you came in the room today, but hopefully you've been giving a good briefing now and you can spread the word far and wide. We have some of our latest newsletters here, so if you want to find out a bit more about personal stories, our ex-alumni, there's an update from our chairman, Mick Burrows, at the beginning, and just more info about it that comes out sort of quarterly. Sam will be passing those out at the end, so please do take one. People can obviously apply themselves, or if you know anybody who's 21 to 35, please encourage them to do so, because if they're interested in the scholarship, then we're probably interested in what they've got to say. If you want to get our updates as well, all the news, and find out when the application's open next year, then you can just put your name, your address, or your email address down on the sign-up sheet at the front here. We'll make sure you get that information. And we have an annual celebration event which has just happened, which is a gathering of the new and old the scholars, and we had that out in Nipton, in beautiful sunshine, nibbles, and had a drink, and it was really great just to bring those people together, because once you go on this journey, it really does change a lot of people's lives. And also, and as Sheridan mentioned, you can tap into anything that's going on with Mayflower. There'll be a lot in the city and the county as well, as people can apply to be a scholar in the city and the county. If you're interested in giving a gift to the scholarship and helping us to continue and live on, then please feel free to speak to me, or all the details are in the back of the newsletter. It's very much appreciated. And if you knew a business that might be interested in using the scholarship as a continuing professional development or as a CSR opportunity, then that would be greatly appreciated too. And you can talk to any of us. We have Sheridan and I, who'll be milling around at the end. So as I said, yeah, you can help this incredible tradition live on. There's a few details here, and I can send this around to anyone who wants it. That's our website, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And this is something that I carried around with me on the back of my business cards when I was in America, and it was my favourite Roosevelt quote. So, to reach a port, we must sail. Sail, not to anchor, sail, not drift. Which I really think is about taking chances and doing things that are purposeful. And that's the kind of a mantra that I carried around with me in the States, and really thought it served me well. Then we have
I don't know if we can. So I was just very quickly. I was able to stay with some amazing entrepreneurs in New York, and they were all about developing, knowing your values, knowing the why around the things you do. And they created the whole city manifesto, which has been posts have been sold around the world. The videos have been watched by millions. And I'm just going to end today on this video if it works.
Well, Sharon's having a look at that. I just wanted to say thank you all for your time today. It's really appreciated, and for anything you can do to support the scholarship in the future, telling people, anything you can do.
It's not working. There's just a great video that encapsulates the values there. But I think we often travel, we often got lost, and it's about seizing those opportunities and building things together.
So, thank you. And I just would like to say we really appreciate the food and the space today.